we're going to mark out a roof boat. So let's begin, and I find a piece of timber that's, you know, big enough, wider than the rafter, and I'm going to put a square line down. Okay, anywhere, just come in a little bit from the end, and I'm going to put another square line down. Right, now I measured down 100 mil. Put a little mark. I'm using a biro. I'd never use a biro at work. I'd use a pencil, but biro just makes it easier for you to see. And I'll put a line across. Okay. Now, so now I've got my square line down. I've marked off 100, and I've put another line across here, and I've marked off. So effectively, I've got a parallel line, square off the top, and 100. And the reason why I'm doing that is because whichever way you use to determine a plumb cut, it always gives you 100 along and then so far across. Now I'm going to use the standard one, which is in the roofing book, which is 22 degrees 47 minutes, which I know is crazy because it's actually 22.78 degrees, but anyway, it works out at 42 mil. So 42 and 100. Okay, so I've done that, and I bring a line across here, and I'm going to join the dots, in other words. Righto. And there we are. There is the plumb cut for my roof. So 100 along, 42 across, and I'll be able to cut that across there, and that is the plumb cut for my rafter. Just by chance, it's also the rise in the roof, but that's another lesson. Anyway, grab me bevel. Okay, line my bevel up like so. Beautiful. And I'm going to slide the bevel down till I get it to a comfortable spot. No set reason why that is, just that's what I think. Now I've got to put a cleat along the top, so I'm going to scribe a line for my cleat like so, and that just means that a piece of timber like that is going to get affixed to that piece of timber, because my rafter's going, or my rafter material is going to sit in there. So in this example, our school example, our rafters are 90 mil. So they would rest against the cleat and they'd be down. So what I do, measuring square off, is I put a marker at 60 mil, which is 2/3. And then 1/3. Remembering that, you know, we've got the cleat in there. The 90 mil raft is going to sit in here, and it's got to be somewhere less than there. Okay, now the thing I like to do, you know, like this is a school roof, and you know it's a 90 mil rafter, which is a little bit unusual, but it is what it is. So I just double check, make sure I'm right. Yeah, 60 mil, which is 2/3. So now what I've got to do is I'm going to measure along the back of the bird's mouth, right, or along the back of the cut here, and I'm going to go to 75 mil. Okay, now 75 mil just happens to be a round number, because when we get into the roofing, it's going to come into play a fair bit. We need a nice even number, so I'm just going to go 75 along, and that's the key point, it's along. Now the bird's mouth is just, I know this seems a little bit rough, but it works just fine. if I come along here, use my square mark here, right, that there is square, 90 degrees, square off the back of the bird's mouth, and along there we're going to cut all this out. Means I've got a little bit of grace. So I'm cutting along here with a power saw, I come zooming along here, bang bang, and I cut a little bit past here. It's not going to go past the 1/3, or leaving 2/3 on, right? It gives me that little safety margin, and you're remembering that the purpose of the bird's mouth only is to gauge this distance. So it doesn't matter how thick the material is, it's all only ever going to be the same size. So let's just recap. Righto. So from the top, we came from the top of our board, we came across 100. Then we came across the rise in your roof. In this example at 22.78 degrees, it's 42 mil. We came across, then we joined those lines together. We were working from the top because that was our 100. Now, we transferred that line with a bevel over to here. And we put our mark through, and we also marked where our cleat is going along, because now we're looking at the bird's mouth that we need to work out that it's got to be at least 2/3 down. So we came down and we put this little mark here at 60 for an indicator. Then we came across, along I should say, along 75 mil, and we came square off that, and that gave us our bird's mouth. Okay, so that is a basic roofing boat. You know, we could add more and more bits and pieces to it, but you know, the only other thing that I do occasionally, and I'm just going to show you this little trick. Right, we move along. I'll just bring this cleat line along here, and I measure across here the rise, which was 42 mil. Alright, so I'll put a note there, 42. Okay, same 42 here as here. The difference, because the hip is travelling 45 degrees from the corner, it's travelling 1.4142 times longer to get to the, and I know it sounds complicated, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to measure along here 141, and I'm going to put a mark there. Okay, so now I've got the rise, standard rise for standard cut, and this time I've got the run for the hip, and I'll put my line across here, right to there. There we go. Mark that line. That, my friend, is the plumb cut for the hip. So I could, and you can see when I put my bevel on, because that is the bevel, you know, this is this one here. Yep. Right, when I put it on over here, you can see it's not the same angle, because being, you know, travelling to the same height but much longer, it's shallower. So I could come along here, and there you go. That is the hip bevel, somewhat shallower, as you can see, than the common rafter bevel. Anyway, I hope that's been reasonable for you to follow.